The Toyota Highlander is one of the most recognized names in the family SUV segment, but the version on sale right now has some serious problems that most buyers only discover after signing the paperwork. If you're about to spend close to $50,000 on a 3-row family hauler, these are exactly the kinds of issues that should be stopping you in your tracks. The Highlander is actually more expensive than Toyota's own bigger, newer, and more capable Grand Highlander, and that is just the beginning of the story. Number 7. Tight third row. Pick up any review of the Highlander and you're going to find the same phrase repeated over and over: kids only. That is not just a casual observation. It is a factual limitation that buyers consistently run into. The third row in this SUV is genuinely tight, with thin cushioning, a low floor-mounted seat, and almost no legroom to speak of. Adults are going to be miserable back there. Now picture this. You're heading to a family reunion or picking up relatives from the airport. Someone has to sit in the back. That someone is going to spend the entire ride with their knees pushed forward and their head brushing the headliner. Not exactly the impression you want to make in a vehicle you spent close to $50,000 on. The practical reality is that you are really buying a 2-row SUV with an emergency seat in the back, and you are paying the full price of a 3-row vehicle to get it. If your family includes teenagers or you regularly need to seat other adults, the Highlander's third row is going to disappoint every single time. But a cramped back seat is only part of the story, because what is sitting under the hood is raising its own set of questions. Number 6. Turbo 4 needs more power. Under the hood, the Highlander is running a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 265 horsepower, paired with an 8-speed automatic and standard all-wheel drive. Those numbers look decent on paper, but then you remember what this engine is being asked to move. The Highlander tips the scales at over 4,500 pounds, and that combination produces a 0 to 60 time somewhere in the 7.2 to 7.4 second range. That is adequate, but nothing more. Rivals are pulling ahead. The Mazda CX-90 reaches 60 miles per hour in 6.3 seconds, and even Toyota's own Grand Highlander gets there quicker. The issue is not just raw speed either. The throttle response feels soft, and getting the Highlander to move with any urgency requires pushing harder than you would expect from a turbocharged engine. What you get instead is muted, adequate performance, a powertrain that does the job without ever making you feel good about it, and a sluggish powertrain would be forgivable, but only if the overall driving experience made up for it, which is exactly where the next reason hits hardest. Number 5. Forgettable driving experience. There is a case to be made that most buyers in this segment do not prioritize driving enjoyment, but the Highlander takes inoffensive to a level that actually becomes a drawback. The steering offers very little feedback, feeling numb regardless of the situation. Body roll is controlled well enough, but the suspension is tuned so softly that the SUV never communicates what is happening beneath it. Think about what it feels like to merge onto a busy highway or navigate a tight on-ramp with a car full of passengers. Those are the moments when you want a vehicle that responds with confidence, something that feels planted and immediate when you press the pedal. The Highlander is not going to give you that. It glides along smoothly on straight suburban roads, and in that specific scenario, it works fine. But the moment roads get twisty, or you need to accelerate decisively, the experience goes flat in a way that stands out even within its own class. The Mazda CX-90 is sportier, the Kia Telluride feels more composed, and even the Hyundai Palisade delivers a more confidence-inspiring experience behind the wheel. A dull driving character is one thing, but it is much harder to overlook when the vehicle it comes wrapped in is also starting to look its age. Number 4. Aging design. The current generation Toyota Highlander has been around since 2020, and the exterior is starting to show its age. The front end was styled in a sporty direction, with angular headlights, a prominent grille, a somewhat aggressive face. But after several years, that design now feels dated rather than fresh. Rivals have moved on with bolder, more modern styling, and the Highlander is increasingly becoming the conservative option in the segment. This generation has not received a meaningful exterior update since its launch. Small trim changes, color additions, nothing structural. When you park a Highlander next to a redesigned Hyundai Palisade or a Kia Telluride, the age gap becomes visible immediately. Inside, the cabin is clean and well organized, but it does not look like a class leader anymore. The materials are decent and the layout is logical, but compared to what rivals are offering in terms of interior style and premium feel, the Highlander is playing catch-up. An aging design is frustrating on its own, but what makes it worse is that the practical shortcomings have aged right alongside it, and nowhere is that more obvious than when you try to load cargo behind that cramped third row. Number 3. Limited cargo space behind the third row. We already established that the third row of the Highlander is not particularly spacious, but what makes this worse is what is behind it. With all 3 rows up, cargo volume behind the third row comes in at just 16 cubic feet, which one of the smallest figures in the entire segment. Here is where that becomes a real-life problem. Most families buying a 3-row SUV are doing so because they need to move people and things at the same time. School trips, sports equipment, grocery runs with a full car. Those are the exact scenarios this vehicle is supposed to handle. And when every seat is occupied, the Highlander leaves you with almost no room to work with. Fold the third row flat and storage improves to around 48 cubic feet. But that eliminates the extra seating you paid for in the first place. Rivals like the Chevrolet Traverse and Volkswagen Atlas are handling this significantly better, offering more cargo room behind a third row that actually fits adults. So, the Highlander is tighter, older, and less practical than the competition. But here's the part that makes all of that even harder to accept. Toyota is already selling a better version of this SUV, and it costs less. Number 2. The Grand Highlander does exist. Here's a situation that Toyota has quietly created, and buyers are slowly catching on to it. The Grand Highlander is a larger, more capable, and more modern version of the Highlander. And in most trims, it costs less. The Grand Highlander is going to deliver meaningfully more third-row legroom, more cargo space, and access to a more powerful powertrain that the standard Highlander cannot match. The Grand Highlander Hybrid Max produces 362 horsepower and tows up to 5,000 pounds, a configuration simply unavailable in the shorter model. Toyota's own reviewers and major automotive publications consistently rank the Grand Highlander above the standard model. When a manufacturer's own larger, younger, more powerful sibling undercuts the price of the smaller version, that is not a minor footnote. It is a structural argument against buying the standard model. And once you look at the Highlander's actual price tag in full, that argument becomes almost impossible to ignore. Number 1. High starting price. This is where the Highlander's situation becomes genuinely difficult to defend. With the entry-level LE trim dropped from the lineup, the 2027 Highlander is now opening with the XLE trim at around $47,500. All-wheel drive is now standard across all trims, which adds some practical value, but it has also pushed the entry point well above where most of the competition sits. The Kia Telluride starts at around $41,000. The Jeep Grand Cherokee L is available from roughly $43,000. And as just covered, the Grand Highlander, Toyota's own larger and more capable SUV, is starting at around $43,500. That means the Highlander is asking more than $4,000 over its own bigger sibling for a vehicle that delivers a tighter third row, less cargo space, and a less powerful powertrain. The Platinum trim is pushing past $55,000, where buyers are going to be cross-shopping vehicles that offer significantly more. The Toyota Highlander is a competent, reliable family SUV, but competence alone does not justify a price premium when rivals are delivering more, and Toyota's own Grand Highlander is doing it for less. The Toyota Highlander is not a bad SUV, but at this price point, not bad is simply not good enough. A third row that only works for children, a powertrain that moves 4,500 pounds without any real conviction, a driving experience that disappears from memory the moment you step out, and a design that has been sitting unchanged since 2020. These are not minor complaints. Add in one of the tightest cargo areas in the segment, and a starting price that is higher than Toyota's own larger and more capable Grand Highlander, and the case against the standard Highlander becomes difficult to argue with. The competition has moved forward, Toyota's own lineup has moved forward, and the Highlander is increasingly being left behind, carrying a price tag that no longer reflects what it delivers. Let's be honest, this is the mainstream segment, where each model comes with its own weaknesses. Rivals are far from flawless, and that's also the case with the Subaru Ascent you can check out in our next video. Aging interior and CVT as a limiting factor are just some of several reasons why this SUV may not be the right choice for you.